All right, we're going to do a little deep dive again into the baits that catch the majority of my biggest fish, 5 pounds and up. So obviously we've got to start with the big spinner baits because that's accounted for more than 400 of them. The big heavy ones that people seem to freak out when they hear about them because they weigh over 2 ounces. So we'll get into that first. You can see the different colors. This is 2.5 ounces. It's a tandem willow. These are all tandem willows. All of these. They all weigh 2.25 ounces, right at it, give or take a little bit. This one is a little white chartreuse mix. This one's solid chartreuse with solid chartreuse blades. White. This one's got a little chartreuse kicker. That one's got a red kicker. And then over here we have the double Colorados. All these big blades are number 8s. These are either 4s or 5s. A couple of white ones, chartreuse one. Down here we have some specialty tandem willows. These are light. These come in at about 1.5 ounces. They've got number 8 blades, number 8 willows. They're all tandem willows. A couple of them's got big gold blades. The rest have got white. This one, the kicker blade is nickel on one side, red on the other. These weigh, some weigh a couple of ounces, like a 2.5. This one weighs like 1.5 ounces. These are a little bit lighter. I made these specifically for using in colder, shallower water where I can wind them slower, but they'll still stay up a little bit. They work really great because I caught some big ones on them this past spring, March of 23. These are the heavier ones. This one's really heavy. This one's going to be about a 3 ouncer because it's a 2-ounce head. So that's for really getting on down there. But these baits right here, over 400 bass, over 5 pounds. I didn't really start using the really heavy spinner baits till 2011. Before then I had used the big blades, but they were all 1 ounce, maybe tops. And back then I used to use the big blade here was a hammered copper blade, or just a chartreuse one, but they didn't weigh anywhere near this much. And coincidentally, 2011 was the year I went heavy, and that was the year I caught 50-something bass over 5 pounds just on those big spinner baits. The getting them down deeper made all the difference in the world. I mean, there's a limit to how far bass is going to go to hit a bait. So if you can get your bait down deeper, the closer to the fish, the more fish you're going to catch. That's just, that's just common sense. It's not opinion. It's not debatable. It's just common sense. And it worked. So it's rare to see me throw a light spinnerbait anymore. I'll never go under 1 ounce anymore, really. I mean, even my little mini-me's like this little thing here, you can see it, that one weighs a little over 1 ounce. And it's just got like a little number 4 and a number 3 Colorado, just a little double Colorado mini-me, hidden weight, like that. The other thing about these baits that's critical is the wire size. All this wire is like 0.45. It doesn't bend and straighten out as bad. They all have the twist eye. So like little baits like this, like the little mini-me, this has got like 0.35 wire. See how springy that is? This is what happens to them after a while. You're going to bend them, you're going to straighten them out 2 or 3 times, and they're going to snap. And that's the end of your spinnerbait. So, I think that's all the big, the skirts. The skirts are 4 layers, four skirt layers. about 90 strands all together. They're big, they're bulky, they make a nice profile. All got, well, most of them have a little red in them. I'm just a freak about red. They've all got trailer hooks, red trailer hooks. And like I say, they're 045 wire. They will eventually break, but I mean, sometimes I'll get over a year out of these things before they break. Eventually, if you catch enough big fish on them, yeah, they're gonna break. So if you use one for 2 or 3 years and it doesn't break, you hadn't been catching any fish on it. Something else, I don't really fish a jig anymore. I hadn't caught a fish on a jig in 2 or 3 years, but I was gonna make me something to swim. I just did that. Anybody can make these things. You buy the jig heads, you buy a skirt, make a skirt, put it on there, boom, you got a jig, and you ain't paid $6 for it. I'll never get over these ridiculous prices for jigs. Even $4 is too much. All right, that pretty well covers the spinner baits, I think. Now that we're through this, we're gonna go to the other baits that I've caught most of my big bass on. I've caught over 1,100. So there's over 400 right there. This lure right here, they don't make this color anymore. It's a Bomber Deep Flat A crankbait. When I get them, I upsize the front hook. I go to a number 2, must add EWG on the back. Sometimes I'll just leave the back hook stock, or I'll put a little, not EWG, triple grip. Must add triple grip. This one I just left the original hook on there because it's good enough, but I like a little bit bigger hook on the front. I've caught over 100 bass, over 5 pounds on this little lure right here. I think the biggest one weighed 9.2. I caught a few 8s on it too, tons of 5s and 6s and 7s. So, and like I say, they still make the lure, they just don't make that color. It's called a Silver Flash. So that's one of them. Old crankbait, been around a long time. This is another one. This crankbait's been around for over 40 years, 50 years. It's a 7A Bomber. The color is BY, and like everything else I love, they've discontinued it. Again, I upsize the hook. I've caught 2 over 9 on this one. Caught a 9.13 and a 9.5. Caught lots of big fish on this thing. Wise, Altoona, great crankbait. Like I say, they don't make that color anymore. They still make the bait, but not the color. Okay, now, Strike King, King Kong. I started throwing swim baits about 17 years ago, 18 years ago, something like that. This is far and away my favorite. Of course, like everything else I love, it's been discontinued too. It came out in 2006, got discontinued in about 2008. But yeah, this one was, they discontinued it about 2 years after it came out. That was when swim baits were beginning to kind of come into the mainstream, but most people just didn't want to throw these big old lures, so I guess this one just died. I have plenty of them. This one was a star player back in March one day last year. 21 bass that weighed 131.5 pounds. 19 of them were over 5. The smallest one was 4.7. The biggest one was 8.11. The best 5 weighed 38 pounds and 1 ounce. And all of them but one came on this lure here. And also, this is an 8-incher. Weighs about 2 1/4 ounces. This is the 6-inch version. I've never caught anything on it, but then I've rarely thrown it, so that's probably got something to do with it. I just like this big one. It just, I mean, you know, if something works that way, you don't put it down. I've caught over 80 big bass on this one. The biggest one was 9.7, I think. Caught a couple other 9s on it too. And then this one's a big one. It's 8 inches, but it weighs nearly 5 ounces. It's called a Hester Fishing Monster Shad. It's made in Poland. This was This one put the finishing touch on that 131-pound sack. This one I caught a 7-1. That was the last fish I caught that day. Now I went out about a week later and I caught 3 over 7 on this. They wouldn't hit the other one, but they hit this one, and I had 3 over 7 on it. Now you can see where it's boogered up right there. I broke the lip off of it, and had to get another one and patch it up. That's JB weld, but it works. That's the only downside to this lure and the King Kong. Those lips are kind of fragile, so if you bump them into something and you yank, it'll snap that lip off. And all, like I say, all these are cheap. None of them cost more than $30. So, I mean, these guys that spend hundreds or even $1,000 on a crank, on a swim bait, I just don't get it. I heard the story about, well, one of them was on the internet. I forget the guy's name. He had a $1,000 swim bait and he lost it. He managed to go back and find it somehow. And then another guy I heard about lost a $1,000 swim bait. He didn't get his back. I mean, really, that's just, if you think you got to have a bait that costs that much money to be effective and catch fish, you don't know as much about fishing as you think you do. And if that ruffles a few feathers, I don't care. I'm just telling you how it is. I've caught too many big fish on inexpensive crankbaits and swim baits and spinner baits to know that you don't have to spend that kind of money on a lure. You just don't. You don't have to spend that $1,000 on a rod and reel combo either. Kong. I'll throw Kong on this rig right here. Old Ambassador 5500C, 4.7 to 1. This reel's 40 years old if it's a day. I throw it on this rod. St. Croix Mojo Bass. There's the model number. 710 heavy action. Gave about $140 for it. Hadn't got over $100 in the reel. I use 65-pound braid, Power Pro. This slick looking stuff, this is P-Line's new no fade braid. I'm trying it out to see how it works. So far, I'm real pleased with it. It's slick. You don't hear all that screeching when the line's coming through your guys when you're fighting a fish. Now, King Kong, that's another, what I throw it on, that's another deal. This is a Shimano Compre rod. It'll handle up to an 8-ounce lure. And believe it or not, I got this rod delivered to my door for 90 bucks. A Compre. I use an older version, is what I've been using for the last several years. I got this one last year. Same basic rod, just rated for a much heavier lure. Again, same reel, 5500C. Older than a lot of people that will watch this video. But again, you can't get this rod for $90 now. So one guy had some. I bought one just to see. I bought it, I got it, I tried it, I loved it. Bought another one, and the supply he had is gone. You can still get this same rod, but it's gonna cost you about twice as much, about $150, $160. I have another lure that's caught about 80 big bass. It's called my Glurk. Nobody sees that one. It was made by a guy up in Connecticut. I got it from him. I've seen some similar out there, but I like this one better. Like I say, I've taken about over 80 on it. So when you add all these baits up, you got about 750, close to 800 bass over 5 pounds, just on this stuff here. And again, inexpensive. No more than $150 for a rod, no more than $100 for a reel, no more than $30 for a lure. And I've done pretty good considering, you know, I fish out of a 10 boat with a 40 horse motor or a 10 boat that's all electric. I don't have a $100,000 bass boat. I don't have forward facing sonar. I don't have I don't have none of that junk. I learned how to fish without it. I also don't bed fish, so it can be done. But anyway, I may not even post this video, but I thought I'd go ahead and put it all together just in case. a couple of guys have expressed interest in buying some of these spinner baits, so I might make a few up and sell them. I can't sell a lot because I don't have that many, and I can't seem to get any more like I want, the heads. So this may be the end of it. But anyway, I'll go ahead and get this together, edit it, and I'll show it to a few people. I don't know if I'll show it to the masses or not. We'll see. But anyway, that's just my spiel on my best baits to catch big bass for the last, I guess, 45 years. Anyway, that's it.